Welcome back to Flashback Friday. This is the fourth one. As I was preparing for this, I went down a couple of rabbit holes and it's going to be great. In October 2019, Meghan Markle told the world, "I'm not okay," in that ITV interview. But just a few days later, she's blocking royal curtsies with hugs, calling Prince Harry a party crasher, and so much more. What happened between that emotional ITV interview and this very public pivot? We're going to go back to those critical few days to break down what Meghan did, how it landed, and what it actually meant. And all roads lead to Megxit. When a narcissist is planning their exit, they don't leave quietly. They leave in designer red and they take the narrative with them. Let's get into it, but before we begin, here's the intro. Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. Okay, everyone, this is essentially everything we're going to talk about. I'm going to mention what happened in July of 2019. That's going to lead us to the ITV interview in October 2019, the hug and curtsy of October 22nd, and finally, what happened on October 25th. This is going to be a little bit out of order because my goal today was actually to show you clips from that October 25th video. As I was doing research, I stumbled upon an article which led me to all the other rest of this video. So this is going to be very exciting, and so just wait till you see all of these connections. Let's start with that first point on the timeline. July of 2019. This is when Harry and Meghan attended the Lion King premiere. Harry actually skipped out on a very important military memorial event in order to attend this premiere. He chose red carpet entertainment over royal duty. Many people have shown before how Harry pitched Meghan to Bob Iger, the then CEO of Disney. And I think many of us maybe were not that surprised, but what we saw was only one of them being pitched, right? We only saw that Meghan was being pitched. Imagine my surprise when I saw this video and Harry is pitching both of them. Let's watch it.
Next time, if anyone needs any extra voicing,
Yeah.
we can make ourselves.
That's really why we're here. It's the pitch. That's really why we're here. It's the pitch.
Just not Scott. That's so noticeable. Just not Scott. That's so noticeable.
It's shocking to me. I have a full video of this on my YouTube channel. I'm going to link it in my description of this video. Actually, there's two videos. One is of this statement and one is this comparison Harry is making to Scar, the character from Lion King, and really the irony of it, I think, is the best way to say it. My purpose in adding this clip here is that as early as July 2019, and I'm sure even before, Harry and Meghan were planning commercial avenues. And I know I just said, of course, I'm sure this happened earlier. I just haven't found any videography to go with that. So at least we know, at the very least, documented in this video is a pitch for work. Let's continue the timeline. So I showed you the events of July 14, 2019. Now let's get into that ITV interview that aired on October 20, 2019.
And also thank you for asking, because not many people have asked if I'm okay, but it's a very real thing to be going through behind the scenes.
And the answer is, would it be fair to say not really okay, since it's really been a struggle?
Yes.
Let's talk about the public reaction to this video. It was deeply divided. In the US and among her supporters, Meghan's vulnerability struck a nerve. Her emotion was seen as relatable and even brave. This wasn't a duchess. This was a new mom speaking from exhaustion. For many women, especially those who had faced postpartum struggles or toxic workplaces, It felt validating. She wasn't asking for pity. She was finally saying what no one else would say out loud: I'm not okay. And I am saying this as this is how these people would have thought, they would have perceived this if they took this interview positively. But across the pond, the tone was different. In the UK, critics called the timing tone deaf. The documentary aired during a tour meant to spotlight African development, and instead it became the Meghan and Harry show. The press accused them of overshadowing the cause with personal drama, and some took it a step further, suggesting Meghan was manipulating sympathy, painting herself as a victim while living a life of wealth and privilege. It's not that she was emotional, critics said, it's that she made the trip about her. And the media was also polarized. Left leaning outlets and many American publications framed it as a mental health wake up call and a bold critique of the royal family's emotional coldness. But British tabloids and royal correspondents saw something else entirely: a calculated PR move, an attempt to control the narrative, the start of a brand over duty approach to royalty. But here's what matters the most. This interview solidified Meghan and Harry as outsiders in the royal system. It laid the groundwork for Megxit, which was announced less than 3 months later, and it became the first chapter in their new era to reclaim the narrative. From that point on, it wasn't just about their love story, it was about their version of the story. So, whether you see that clip as courage or calculation, it changed everything. And this got me thinking, did Meghan know what she was doing? I think so, and I have 5 reasons why. The delivery was too controlled to be spontaneous. Meghan is a trained actress. Her facial expressions, tone, and pauses were deliberate and camera aware. That famous quote, "Not many people have asked if I'm okay," felt like a scripted soundbite, carefully designed to go viral, and it did. The vulnerability shift was strategic. It looks like she's crafting this new persona: vulnerable, misunderstood, and emotionally intelligent. She's basically doing an image recalibration from perceived aggressor to the victim. It teed up for Megxit perfectly. Within 3 months, Harry and Meghan announced they were leaving the royal family. That interview wasn't a breakdown, it was a setup. It gave context for the public to understand why they had to escape. It softened the ground for what would otherwise have been seen as a betrayal. I also believe the location of the interview was symbolic. It happened while they were on tour of Africa, a continent with deep colonial history tied to the monarchy. Instead of focusing on the cause, Meghan used it as a backdrop for her own emotional narrative. That's not ignorance, that's calculated optics. And finally, the post interview PR behavior confirms it. Oprah, Netflix, archetypes, book deals, all of it. All of these are framed through the lens of that "I'm not okay" vulnerability. It became her origin story for the rebrand. I actually have another interview clip I want to show you that happened around the same time with ITV again and in Africa also. That stood out to me a while ago when I first saw it. I had made a clip of it. I posted it quite a while back, but I think it really puts things into perspective. Let's watch that clip now.
Well, the Commonwealth is a very diverse place, right, with 53 countries, and so being a part of this family and the platform that comes with that is an incredible responsibility that I take really seriously.
She's really suppressing a laugh there because she doesn't take it very seriously, in my opinion. She knows she's leaving the royal family. This is already October of 2019. So it was all already planned, in my opinion. Just watch her face again when she says it. That she's really trying to look at that. That's a smile. That's a laugh. It's Duper's delight right there. During my research for this video, I stumbled upon this article, and it says ITV's Tom Bradby talked with Prince Harry about what the royal would say before filming the interview for the documentary. He says he found a couple that seemed a bit bruised and vulnerable, and that he hopes that they take a deep breath and think pretty hard about the future. So look at that. This was posted October 23, 2019. If you continue reading on the article, you can see how it mentions that the the other ITV interview where Meghan talks about how no one's really been asking if she's okay, that it resulted in a huge public debate. This article also says that Harry admitted that he and his brother, who were once inseparable, now have their good days and bad days. Mr. Bradby says he told a story that was in front of him. He says he had a pretty long chat with Harry and he speaks to him relatively often. He continues on to say, I knew things weren't entirely brilliant behind the scenes, but it built as the tour went on. I was just observing. As time wore on, I began to really get a sense of where he was at. We really have the gift of hindsight here, and the pieces of the puzzles all just fit. Let's get into the events of October 25, 2019. Harry and Meghan attended an event that was part of One Young World Summit and was hosted in collaboration with the Queen's Commonwealth Trust. It was a roundtable discussion on gender equality at Windsor Castle. Here's a video of Harry and Meghan arriving. Let's watch that clip.
Myself, welcome to 25 the Cloisters, a little slice of tea,
There's a couple of things I noticed. What I see is Meghan rush up to greet the guest, make sure that she goes first. Harry looks a little confused, doesn't know what to do. When Harry does end up greeting the person, Meghan seems to almost get in front of him. She does that body block a lot. It's subtle, but it's there. Now they've made it inside for that round table. I'm going to show you off the top of my head 2 different times that Meghan is going to devalue Harry here. And doesn't that set up the tone for what comes after Megxit? I mean, she was devaluing him, I think, a long time before, but this is just so blatant and in our face. Let's watch the first part of this clip.
Jenna, do you mind if we just say a couple words before?
Oh, sorry. No, we just want to welcome everyone and say thank you for being here.
In this clip, I believe right before this, someone is talking. Unfortunately, the raw footage doesn't show what is happening right before this moment. And you see how quickly Meghan interrupts and then reassures the person she interrupted. It's not just a slip of etiquette, it's a power move dressed in politeness. It's a strategic interruption and image control. She timed it so that she could seize the spotlight at the top of the event. In narcissistic dynamics, there's often a need to control the tone and direction of a room. By jumping in early, she positions herself as the benevolent center of attention. Translation, let me frame this before anyone else sets the tone. Then you hear her say, oh, no, 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 this is faux modesty. When the other person apologizes for being interrupted, Meghan's, oh, no, 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 is meant to sound gracious, but it deflects accountability for cutting in. It maintains her role as both disruptor and peacemaker, which is classic image management. She interrupts, they apologize, she gets to look kind while still staying in control. It's a performative warmth with power underneath. She uses warmth and soft language. She says, thank you so much for being here. But make no mistake, she has claimed the room, shifted attention, and reframed the moment around her presence. This is exactly the kind of micro behavior narcissistic personalities use to project humility, maintain dominance, keep everyone slightly off balance while seeming pleasant. It's not rude on the surface, but it's disarming dominance. She takes space with confidence, apologizes on your behalf, and makes herself the welcoming authority. Let's continue the clip.
So I think that conversation can't happen without men being part of it. And this is something that is also very key to the way my husband feels.
Here we see Meghan's habit of addressing Harry not as a person, but as her husband. And she's telling everyone how her husband feels. She's not letting him speak for himself. Let's continue.
He's been working in this space since 2013, which a lot of people don't notice as much. He's been working in this space since 2013, which a lot of people don't notice as much.
To me, this laugh is so telling. So she says that Harry has been involved in this type of work since 2013, I believe, and nobody seems to notice, or something along those lines. And then she laughs. And I think that laugh is telling for three reasons. The first is it's a laugh of subtle superiority. She's not amused by a joke. She's reacting to a truth she finds satisfying. People don't notice him, but they notice me. The laugh reads like a quick leak of Duper's delight. But this time she couldn't control herself. It turned into a full laugh. Number two, it's dismissive. If she were proud of Harry's work going under the radar, she'd have said it sincerely. Instead, she smirked and laughed. This gives the impression that she's pleased he's overshadowed and she's trying to keep it cute. And the last one, it may be soft devaluation. In narcissistic dynamics, partners are often idealized early on, but once the narcissist establishes dominance or fears their partner may eclipse them, they subtly diminish their accomplishments. Laughing at Harry's invisibility may be a way of her saying, he's been doing this forever, but people only care now that I showed up. To me, this laugh signals a kind of gloating. It's the sound of someone who enjoys being the center of attention and who's not entirely sad that their partner is being overlooked. Let's continue the video.
So, thank you for letting him crash the party. So, thank you for letting him crash the party. No.
So she says, thank you for letting him crash the party. It seems light. But when you unpack it, she's framing herself as the host and Harry as the outsider. It's a subtle shift, but it speaks volumes. It reverses the power dynamic. Harry's the born royal, the prince, senior member of the monarchy, and he's being framed as the tag-along. Meghan is positioning herself as the primary guest, the focal point, and the one whose presence is expected and sanctioned. She's saying, I belong here. He's just tagging along. It diminishes Harry's role and elevates her as the host, the star, and the insider. This is another example of her devaluing Harry in the form of social devaluation. Calling him a party crasher, even jokingly, suggests he wasn't invited or isn't central to the purpose of the gathering. It shrinks his status in a way that gets dismissed as banter. In narcissistic dynamics, this is classic. You use humor to knock down the partner's significance and then mask it as charm. She's also signaling that she owns the narrative. She's telling the room, this is my space, my event, my moment. Harry is here because I brought him. Even if it's said with a smile, the subtext is she's the gatekeeper. She decides who's included. Now let's watch the last of that clip. Now that Meghan is done speaking, she's gesturing that it's someone else's turn to speak, that they can now continue what they were saying. She is deciding who talks next. This is a classic power move. With a single wave or nod, she's saying, okay, your turn. She's managing in what order people will be speaking. That's authority. And when that authority hasn't been formally given, it's claimed. She's again positioning herself as the host or moderator. In a group dynamic, the person who gestures for others to speak is usually the leader or the facilitator. She's sending a clear message. This conversation is happening on my terms. And it closes this dominance loop. Let's look at the sequence. She interrupts. The person apologizes. She reassures them. She reframes Harry as a party crasher. Then she gestures to others, managing who speaks next. That's a full performance of polite power, coded in charm, but underlined with control. As I was doing the research for this video, this is the article I stumbled upon that led me down that rabbit hole. And the article is titled, Meghan Markle opts for another hug as she's welcomed to Windsor Castle days after the awkward moment a charity organizer tried to curtsy as the Duchess embraced her. Meghan threw arms out for a hug as she arrived at Windsor Castle. It comes just days after an awkward moment on stage at the One World Summit, which is the video I'll show you shortly. Organizer Kate Robertson offered Duchess a curtsy as Meghan went in for an embrace. The article continues on Wednesday, the dilemma that many people face when being introduced to royalty, do you bow, curtsy, or simply shake hands, led to a rather awkward encounter. Let's watch that clip. So here you see Meghan going. The woman was going to curtsy, but Meghan goes in for the hug. And actually, I noticed the way she greets the gentleman is very forceful too. He goes in for a handshake. He's going to use two hands to shake her hand, but she goes in, pulls him close, and then she also pulls him away when it's time to let go. And see, there's that subtle movement back. So the sequence of events is Megxit plans have been laid out, I believe, as early as that Lion King video, July of 2019. Then we see those two ITV interviews, and we see two instances back to back where Meghan goes in for a hug rather than letting the other person curtsy. And the question is, was it truly warmth or was it performative? In my opinion, blocking a curtsy and insisting on a hug not once but twice is not a moment of humility. It's a campaign. It tells the public, I'm not the cold, out of touch Duchess they say I am. I am a woman of the people. But here's the twist. Rejecting curtsies isn't anti-royal. It's a power play because she's still being admired just on her terms. She controls the setting, she controls the affection, and instead of traditional respect, she demands emotional loyalty. It's not don't curtsy to me, it's curtsy differently. Hug me, love me, feel for me. And this fits perfectly with the Megxit rollout. So I'm curious to know what you all think of this. I feel like there were a lot of threads that were woven together, and hindsight really is 2020. If this video was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. I want to thank you all so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.